I've seen many of these shows, and I've always had the thought that you get a quality and a type of program out of public television that you just don't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
And you get something like this where they're preserving this history, this American treasure of a songbook that is America's folk music, especially the Kingston Trios.
It's probably one of the last places where you can see things with programming with some kind of substance.
I love public television because that's where I can go to get the real honest music. You get the amazing documentaries, and you get the shows, and you get to actually see the musicians play the music. A lot of shows and documentaries don't necessarily show the music and the history of music, and PBS does an amazing job at that.
It's great. I have a fondness for it. It's one of my main outlets whenever I'm need to relax and just learn something. It's always educational. You always find something that you didn't know and incorporate it into your life. And it's always entertaining. There's so many wonderful programs. I know they get matching funds from the government, and so the more you give, the more the government can give.
Right.
They're allowed to give, I should say. So it's kind of cool.
PBS offers so many things that you just can't find anywhere else. You've got music, you've got news, you've got children's programming, you've got Frontline, you've got, my husband and I keep the TV on. We always have at least one of the TVs on in the house on PBS.
Where else can you go on successive nights and you can hear spiritual enlightenment from Deepak Chopra, and then the next night you can get musical enlightenment from Tommy Emmanuel? Public television is the only place where that's permitted even.
It's just, it's such a wide spectrum of interesting subjects that you only get to watch on public television. Yeah.
It's very refreshing to have PBS with us in this world.
The level of quality of production and the succinct nature of how PBS tells stories, which is really what folk music tonight is about telling stories. And PBS as an organization tells stories, so it's a perfect fit for music in general, and especially for folk music and for the Kingston Trio and its legacy.
It was remarked from public television, you found our audience. Folk music hit our audience in a way none other had. And we found that when we took tours after that our audience were people that saw us do that show. And it did feed our audience as well, but the public television audience is our audience. So yeah, you're right, there's no other place for it. And thank you for having it, because our people, hi guys, are out there. We know that.
It's a great opportunity, especially for something like this, the Kingston Trio, which, most people, I think, know that I think their name came from Harry. So, like I said, I've grown up with their music, and, I'm very happy to be here, and I get to take all their pictures. So that's like the best part.
Well, when I first heard the Kingston Trio, I was dumbfounded. I think even more than the music was the fun. Fun is just, to me, it's all about fun.
Too much fun is not enough. And that has been the motto of the group ever since I've been in it. And being with Bob is, it's a life lesson.
Well, our first attempt at singing together was pretty much a folk song. It might have even been the Sloop John B. In fact, I think it was originally when Brian and I got together and formed the band with his family. We were invited to the studio to a fellow publisher, and I suggest we do a folk song. That was my choice, but it quickly turned around into a different medium called the surf genre, and one of the fellows was a surfer in the band, Dennis Wilson, and he suggested that we write a song about surfing.
When I first started strumming my friends' ukuleles and banjos and I heard my friends' older brothers singing folk songs, and it caught my ear and my eye, and I started learning this stuff with my friends, and we went in the obvious go-to for me at the time was the Kingston Trio. but also Peter, Paul, and Mary and the Limeliters.
I was born and raised in Dallas, and I started hearing all this Tom Dooley and all these songs. Oh, it's great. Oh, I love their sound, especially their sound.
Well, I started out pretty early, about 10, 11, 12 years old. My older sister, always my older sister, brought home Live at the Hungry Eye. And I took one listen to that album, and I grabbed the album cover out of her hands and says, "That's mine. And I'm going to be a member of that group." So we both laugh about that today, but it turned out to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, when I first heard about the Kingston Trio, I was very young. I was 4 or 5 years old, and they had already been in existence by then, but my dad had purchased me a ukulele, so we sat around and he taught me the music and stuff like that, and then I became a professional musician. I was given the opportunity to play with them, and it was a very exciting moment in my life to become part of that. Being able to back up and work with Bob Shane and Nick Reynolds and folks like Barry McGuire and stuff occasionally. I got very lucky.
And we don't even know each other, but we've all walked down the same streets, we've performed on the same stages, we've caught the same airplanes and missed the same airplanes, and we've all experienced the same experiences. So we may be total strangers, but we're brothers in experience. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful.
We're just thrilled to be here. I am. I know these guys are too.
I'm thrilled to be here. You thrilled to be here?
Some of my earliest musical memories are as a kid listening to the Kingston
Trio.
Trio.
Yeah.
And no matter how much they saturated the play, you never got tired of those songs because they're so iconic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The first gig we did was in Redondo Beach with the Kingston Trio. So I got to see Bob again. We've been the best of friends. I produced some albums for the Kingston Trio and Bob Shane. And then when he finally had to retire, he said, "Will you stand in for me?" And I said, "I never would have expected it, but I can't turn it down. To be back twice with this group and have the most fun, because this group always was the most fun. We have a really good time. Could not do it, and could not do it for Bob."
I think he would be extremely proud that PBS is doing this concert and this effort to show people the impact that we made. And by doing that, PBS is definitely, wherever he is definitely lessening the big hurt.